We good?
Yep.
Hey everybody, Dr. Chotner here at Coastal Dental Arts. This is one of my assistants. We are doing a full mouth scan for her Invisalign case. Actually, it's a refinement. We're going to do some additional treatment on her, finishing up her case. You'll notice the scanner is actually already on and blinking, and the reason why is it can be a little bit chilly in here in the morning times. If you put the wand on for a few seconds prior to scanning, it'll warm up the lens and you're less likely to get foggy. She's already isolated with an Optergate with a triangle on that left side, so we're just going to get right to it. When I scan, whether it's a conventional, prep for a crown or if I'm doing Invisalign, pretty much always start the same way. I always start on the chewing surfaces of one of the sides that I'm working on, and just capturing as much data as I can on the first pass. Obviously, we want to see the tooth on the screen turn from that pink color to white. And if it turns to white perfectly, great. If sometimes it requires a second pass through there, that's not a big deal. If it goes into that sort of mode just now where you saw where the screen went gray, basically all that's telling us is that we are not capturing data. And that's a good thing. If you have the wand in the improper location and you're not able to capture the area that you're trying to scan perfectly, it'll stop capturing information, and this is good because it prevents us from capturing bad information. So that quadrant took about 40 seconds, and now we're going to add a little more powder. This is aluminum oxide, same thing used to put the letters on M&Ms. We're going to go ahead and go into that for me, Vanessa. We're going to go ahead and continue on here. Now this is the trickier part with the scan. When we do this anterior wrap, is what I call it. We're going to go ahead and capture some data from area that we've already scanned, so we can piece these pieces together. And there's a little light on the powder right there. We'll have to add a little bit more to that in a minute. We're going to go ahead and bring this thing all the way over to the other side, and now we're going to drop the handle down, which is going to flip the orientation. And now I'm just going to follow the scan back around to the other side and then do the exact same thing. Now there's a triangle right there that I'm aware of, so it's always important to make sure you don't start scanning the triangle. Wrapping it back around, and we can stop right at that point right there. We'll go ahead and save that scan. Now you'll notice that there was some dark spots there in the front right there, and the reason why is I probably just didn't have enough powder in that location. And that's not a big deal. I'm going to fix that right away. We'll add a little bit of powder up in that area, and since we're, hold on to that for me again, since we're already kind of almost finished with the top, I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and scan the whole upper left, and at the same time capture that little area in the front. So we're just adding a little bit of powder in here, and again going to capture data that's already been captured, so we know how to patch this back together. I'll go ahead and grab those areas in the front that we missed in that previous pass. And now we're going back to this upper right quadrant. And sometimes when you get to this part in the mouth and you kind of trying to get the wand wedged back there on the maxillary molars, it can be a little bit uncomfortable for the patient sometimes. You need to just tell them that, hey, you're going to feel a little bit of pressure here. And they're just going to feel the back of the wand. It's not really going to hurt them at all. And we'll go ahead and stop that. Now on this scan, there's definitely a few little areas in there that are still dark that weren't captured. These aren't really vital areas for purposes of doing an Invisalign scan at this point. However, I do have kind of a attention to detail, so go ahead and tilt your chin up a little bit. So I'm just going to add a little bit more powder just in those areas. A lot of times I'll let you hold on that. A lot of times I'll do the powder with the patient sitting back, and so I'm looking at it with magnification. In this case, she's upright, so it's a little bit more tedious to ensure that you got the powder all in the right spot. But I'm just going to pass this through just one more time, just because I know there was a couple small little black spots in there, and I know that the system can detail those areas out adequately, but I just want to make sure we capture everything as good as we possibly can. All right, so that should be good. So that was about 2 minutes and 19 seconds on the lower, on the top. You doing okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, now she still has attachments on from her first series of aligners, and I'm not going to worry about that. We're just going to scan those, and that'll be a part of her her digital scan here, and then we'll virtually remove those with the Invisalign setup. Okay, now this triangle is going to go in, and it's going to kind of tuck her tongue out of the way. And she already has a little bit of powder down there, but I'm going to just add a little bit more in here. And again, same thing. We're going to do this in quadrants, sextants, I guess we could call it. And a lot of times when I do Invisalign cases, I'll actually just scan the whole thing in one time. In this case, it's going to be done in sections just because I think it's a little easier to show how it's done. Again, same thing. We're on the lower arch now. We're scanning the occlusal surfaces, wrapping it over to the lingual. Again, don't be too concerned if there's not every single dark spot isn't covered in white, unless it's on a vital part of the tooth for like a crown preparation. It's just not going to make that big of a difference. The system can rectify that when it processes. So there's that one quadrant. I'm going to take this out of here now, Vanessa. Now lower arch is always a little bit faster. I'm going to do this again in sextants, even though she's such a good patient, I probably could do the whole thing at once, but this will be a little bit faster. And when you get to this part of the mouth, sometimes it's good to tell the patient to close a little bit, and the reason why is because it exposes the lower part of their teeth right there. If they're opening really wide, a lot of times you won't capture that spot. So again, starting off, capturing data we've already captured, so that way we can bridge it together. Scanning all the way to the occlusal on the other side. Those attachments are going to get virtually removed, so don't worry about those being on the scan. And now we're just going to slide along the anterior. You can see we're capturing a little bit of her lip. That'll get processed out, not a big deal. And that's good. So we're 58 seconds into the lower scan. She's a little bit juicy in there. Other scanner systems may say that it's not a big deal to have saliva, but anything that's contaminating or potentially could contaminate the surface of a tooth in a 3D picture or a 3D scan, like with iTero or with this system, anything that could cause a distortion you want to try to avoid. And saliva can cause a distortion. All right, now we're going to go ahead and finish this quadrant over here. Again, grabbing part of the prep, part of the scan we've already scanned. If you don't do that, it won't know how to match these two pieces of video together. She has a pretty good opening. I wouldn't say that she has the biggest opening of any patient I've ever scanned, but this is about an average case. There are patients who have smaller mouths and patients who have bigger mouths, and this is a pretty typical scan. So we were at 2 minutes on the top, and on this scan it took us 1 minute and 22 seconds to scan the bottom. Of course there's processing time, but that's a 3.5 minute full mouth scan. We're going to go ahead and do a bite registration right now so we can ensure that the case is articulated properly. So now I'm going to hold on to the Optogate so it doesn't go flying out. Sometimes it does when the patients bite down. Go ahead and bite down now for me. And when you do a bite scan, it doesn't matter what part of the mouth you do. You just want to draw a little box here. It could be on the front, it could be on the back. It doesn't really matter. Whatever works for you. And then you can open. All right, now she's just going to sit tight there for a second, and I can show you how easy it is to send this scan here to the right source from the device. So here's her scan, and this is going to be a good case. We're going to go ahead and press the prescription button. I always request it like the next day or the day later. Click Align, Models and Appliances, and the type is Invisalign. And I've got a really, don't look, this is a crazy password, 123456. So if you're trying to steal my password, now you know. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed that tutorial. And if you have any questions, you can email me off of our website, coastaldentalarts.com, and click the contact link. Have a great day.